Okay, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, Your Excellencies, fellow young leaders, participants, it is an honor and a pleasure for me to welcome you back to the afternoon session of the second day of the Ankara Conference on Peacebuilding and Conflict Resolution. I must say, one of the highlights this week is about to come. I've been looking forward to this lecture for the last 3 days. I know a number of us have. I think it's of crucial importance, given also the topic of the conference itself. And we're really very, very honored and pleased to have the chance to have His Excellency Ambassador Mohamed El Fatah Naciri here with us. For those of you who don't know him, he is the head of mission to the Arab states to Turkey. He initially acquired his Bachelor of Political Science in the year 1968 and then obtained his MBA in the year 2000. He started his career as a financial analyst and observer, member of the Central Credit Committee for the Banque Centrale Populaire of Casablanca, Morocco. In the years from 1990 until 1992, he worked as a counselor, as well as the Secretary General of the Arab International Airports Association at Moroccan Airport Authority. He joined the League of Arab States in 1992, where he has occupied several posts as Assistant Director of the European Departments and the Department of the Americas, Department of Asia and Eastern Europe, Director of the International Organizations, and responsible for the Disarmament Desk of the General Secretariat of the League of Arab States. In 2003, Mohamed El Fatah Naciri became the head of the mission of the Arab States to Spain, and in 2000, head of the mission in Turkey, responsibilities that he continues up until today. The lecture topic that he will be speaking on, the Arab Spring and the identity crisis. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in expressing our sincere gratitude for His Excellency Ambassador Mohamed El Fatah Naciri and the keynote address. Thank you.
At the outset, I'd like to thank the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy for this invitation. And I would hail the activities that are exerted by this institute, because we are in a world where we need to promote cultural diplomacy. It has been there since the humanity knew international relations and interregional relations, but today it's very important. I would like to start by talking about the world today and the Brzezinski in his latest book, Strategic Vision, has expressed this very well. I would like to quote: "The world is now an interactive and interdependent. Also the world in which we live, the problems of human survival have begun to overshadow more traditional conflicts. Unfortunately, the major powers have yet to undertake globally cooperative responses to the new and increasing grave challenges to human well-being, environmental, climatic, socio-economic, nutritional, or demographic. And without basic geopolitical stability, any effort to achieve the necessary global cooperation will falter. Indeed, the changing distribution of global power and the new phenomenon of massive political awakening intensify, each on its own way, the volatility of contemporary international relations." This is to say that no one country can solve its problems on its own, and the international order and globalization. Globalization presents opportunities and threats. And when this Arab Spring has started, it has started locally. But later on, no governmental or non-governmental force in these countries of Arab Spring could solve their problems on their own within their local vision. The problems of today cannot be tackled in a domestic framework. This interdependence brings with it interference. But very interestingly, when this Arab Spring started, people were asking for basic freedom, for dignity, for jobs, and the political ideologies or political leadership was not there. There were masses of people encouraged by these instruments of social networking, the media, and which have helped these awakenings to achieve more or less their objectives. The problem of identity, or the crisis of identity, has been very clear after these awakenings. We have seen that governmental institutions, how weak they were. We have seen how the organization, those who have been uprising to ask for their more freedom and more dignity and democracy, were not so well organized, that political Islam organizations that were prevented from participating in the public sphere before, but were organized, were structured, are those forces that are taking action, and they are very present in the political scene. Muslim Brotherhood and Salafist in Egypt, and Nahda in Tunisia, the PJD political party in Morocco, and I think Yemen and Libya also the same. Now, the line between religion, ethnicity, culture, and tradition is not clear. We should distinguish between religious, such as Islam and Christianity, and faith-based political ideologies, such as Islamism, fundamentalism, which is, whether it's Christian or Muslim. Religion in itself is a matter of personal identity, but ideologies serve as political agenda. The electoral results of 2011 show strong public support for political Islam. Also, what happened in Nigeria in 1990, we don't have to forget about, and Egypt 2005, and the Palestinian territories in 2006. But dismissing the results of, or objecting the results of free elections would be a big mistake. The most important is to have some safeguards, that those who come and by elections could go by elections. This is an important thing that should be observed in the constitutions to be formulated for these new emerging countries, emerging regimes. The Muslim Brotherhood and the Salafists in Egypt, Libya, Yemen, Jordan, Morocco are occupying the political scene. The integrating religious principles into a genuinely democratic order will be among the greatest challenges for these societies. When there was the invasion of Iraq, and Condoleezza Rice has talked about constructive anarchy, and where the new cons were seeing that change could come by force and hard power. I think we are seeing the results now, what's happening in Afghanistan and in Iraq, and this has failed. So also there was a debate, is Islam compatible with democracy? Yes, we have the model of Turkey, and we have the model of Indonesia and Malaysia. There is another model which is theocratic, the model of Iran. But I think with since 1979 up till now, there was tremendous change, and the young people are looking for pluralistic regimes and not this rigid regimes. And what we're seeing now, that people are mixed up some way or another. Nasser has promoted socialism because there was a bipolar international system. So there was those who are within the Soviet bloc and those who are with the Western bloc. Talking about Islam or identifying Islam or identifying oneself with Islam, you have different Islam, you have different way of thinking. You have those Sufis, you have those fanatics, and those even that could be extremist and terrorist. But this Arab Spring, one of the good things about it, that we don't hear anymore about those extremists and terrorists. Now, this Islamic parties are there to rule for some years to come, and they will be under test. They will be tested. A joke in Egypt, I heard that we have discovered Mubarak in 30 years, we have discovered the Islamists in 30 days, in 3 months. They will be under scrutiny because the people, they want jobs, they want education, they want welfare. Are they able to realize this or not? And of course, we have seen in Europe the Christian Democrats for years. They came because they are in Christian countries. And then the agenda of the parties are to change and to amend itself to adapt itself to the needs of the people. The debate in the Arab world between secularism and religion is very apparent, so they have invented a term called civic, respecting the civic regime to respect religion and at the same time citizenship. All this we still watching and following what's going on, but stopping these elected parties from taking their chance would be a very wrong thing. And same time, I think that in the long run, there would be a compromise or the change of not being very ideological, but they will be obliged, these forces will be obliged to be more pragmatic and more responsive to their peoples and their demands. The other problems of identity, which we cannot expand a lot, it has to be, I don't want to be it a monologue, but this polarization between Shia and Sunnah, these problems of identity are a great threat for the region. And if we do not contain such polarization, I think it would be very dangerous. Now we're having this Syrian crisis. It didn't start with sectarian aspirations. It was the aspirations of the people to have more democracy, to have more participation, but the response of the regime was very brutal and still is brutal, and to have to stop. The risk, they have forced the people to take arms. Some of the people are taking arms, but attacking and answering with security measures against peaceful demonstrations is completely wrong. And this Arab world and Muslim world, all these people have lived together for centuries. There was no such polarization. And this polarization is a big risk for the region. There is also, it brings with it a risk of fragmentation, of having separatist movements, and on the basis of identity, on the basis of religion, on the basis of ethnicity. And this would be really very catastrophic. And we hope that we could contain such problems. And the solution is to be a citizen, and equality and justice, and recognition for all people on the same basis, without looking to the religion or to the gender or to any other criteria. I thank you, and I'm here to answer your questions and to interact with you. I think this is more or less what I would have talked of. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I'm confident that you've inspired a number of questions and comments. Who would like to go first? Your Excellency, Mr. Yakesh, please.
Your Excellency, thank you very much. I am former Foreign Minister of Turkey. Your explanation was very bright and concise and answering many questions, but I still have certain questions in my mind. The Arab League, when Qatar was the sessional or rotating chairman of the Arab League, the attitude taken against the developments in Syria was a little tougher because of the personal, perhaps, strength used by the Emir of Qatar. Now that the rotational chairmanship went to Iraq, we noticed a small smoothing of the attitude. Do you think that this will affect the later developments in Syria, or the relations between Syria on the one hand and Arab League on the other hand? This is one of the questions. First question. Second question is whether Your Excellency sees any solution without involving the present regimes. So should the solution be without taking into consideration the regime, or by cooperating with the regime? Thank you.
Okay. For the first question, Qatar was the rotating chair of the Council of the Arab League on ministerial level. Now the actual chair is Kuwait, ministerial level. The summit in Baghdad was a landmark in these events, and Iraq was reluctant, even when the Arab League were taking some decisions. They were having reservations on those decisions concerning Syria, or they were reluctant to move forward with these decisions. They were asking whether Syria will be invited to the summit. So you can read how the position is. We said no, Syria is suspended. Now, Qatar is still, there is a commission for the follow-up of the situation in Syria, and Qatar is still the chair of this commission. The Arab League position has not changed. I have been attending the last meeting of Friends of People of Syria in Istanbul with Secretary General Nabil Arabi. And he was of the opinion that to stop, and this is the answer for the second question, in order to stop this brutal response to the demonstrations and to stop this violence in Syria, there should be a Security Council resolution under Chapter 7 with the implementation mechanisms that should apply. Because arming the opposition or the Syrian Free Army, there is a big risk for civil war that we don't want to happen. Also, there is regional partners that are supporting Syrian regime. There is Iran, Russia, and China. But Iran and Russia are very apparent. And even the relations with Turkey was affected by the position of Turkey concerning Syria. Turkey is the most affected country, and we have to thank Turkey for the efforts they have exerted for the refugees, more than 25,000 now. And this is a big responsibility, and it should be shared with the regional community and with the international community, because it cannot continue like this. But we hope that this problem could be contained and solved without having a civil war.
Are you hopeful that the UN Security Council could take decision in view of the Russian position?
I think the Russians could not oppose if it stays there. Immediate ceasefire from all parties. If it's like this, I don't think they would be opposed to such a thing, because now we have supported the Kofi Annan, but it's just talk. They are agreeing to everything, but they are not implementing anything. And the statements of Ban Ki-moon today were very clear and very tough. I hope. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Let's continue. Who would like to go next? Comment or question? Please. And if you could briefly introduce yourself also.
Your Excellency, my name is Michelle Casdano. I'm originally from Lebanon. I have a question about, identity, as it features in the title of your presentation, specifically Arab identity. In light of the Arab Spring, there has been some talk or maybe some slight harking back to Nasser's pan-Arabism. I'm just curious, to what extent is this discourse, renewed discourse, maybe present within the circles of the Arab League? And if so, how are they trying to define Arab identity per se? And does that take into consideration, how does that take into consideration minorities within the Arab world? Thank you.
Okay. You have seen the domino effect. It started in Tunisia. The Egyptians were jealous. They went to the Tunisian embassy and they were demonstrating and congratulating the Tunisians for their success. They have learned something from the Tunisians, that demonstrating and going home does not work. They have to sit in. So they have done this. But between Arab country and Arab countries, there are a lot of differences. The culture is what unifying the people. But the Arab nationalism project did not succeed. It was a big failure. And personally, I think, I don't know, I'm not expressing the Arab League. Nasser was a catastrophe. The army was a catastrophe. Saddam was a catastrophe. All these people coming from armies and controlling the situation. And you know, it's not only this. They have played with the identity. They have tried to tarnish our history, to interpret the history differently. What the people, what the children are learning in their books is not correct. Now, the question is, the Arab world is not purely Arab. There are different ethnicities. Kurds, Turkmen, Berbers. North Africa, the majority of the people are Berbers. When you tell them Arabs and you want to put them under this, we will have a problem in the near future if we insist on this. So I don't know. Do we call it Arab Islamic? I think citizenship is very important, and this citizenship under the caliphate in the golden age, not the way things are interpreted now, I think it has suited very well. You know, the Jewry, the golden age for the Jewry was in Cordoba under Muslim rule. Yeah. So how can we come there? Because identity is really a problem. People, intellectuals are becoming schizophrenic. You don't know, are they Europeans? You're talking to Europeans. They are Europeans when they want to be. And they are very traditional Arabs when they want to be. But they are neither one.
Okay, I see. I'm not sure who is next. We'll try to go in order. Maybe ladies first, and then we'll come back. Okay.
Sibel Tusay, UNDP from Lebanon. Yeah, but Turkish decent. Thank you very much for the very nice and journeyful speech. One comment on that. I had a conversation with Walid Mubarak, who is a member of the steering committee of the National Dialogue Process in Lebanon, also a very known political scientist abroad of
What's
Lebanon.
his name?
Walid Mubarak.
Okay.
Good friend of Fawaz Trabulsi, Kamen. And he told me one thing, and I think it's very nice I would like to share it with the audience as well. He told why we from that region, while also including the Arab character to it, he said why we don't invent or push forward and lobby for something called more the multiple citizenship we already own. So I think we don't have to, like, it's maybe a good answer, a good food for thought by looking into that perspective, without seeing it from the more European and Orientalistic view of saying, I'm a Lebanese, Arab, or I'm a Syrian, whatsoever. So just see it that you have multiple identities, you can use whatever you like to use. So I think this is also one way to tackle the issue about identity crisis. I think a crisis is always a way how you tackle it. It's also a great richness.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah. You know, Lebanon, there are 18, 18, it's very rich. And I think the problem of Lebanon is not because there are 18, because the problem, if you take the Shia between themselves, they are those who compete together when there are elections. So it's not a problem with the others. And now the question in Lebanon is how to have a secular or a state that has to abolish this, but very difficult, very difficult. The important thing is when people are very educated, they forget about these specificities. When there is a crisis, people, you know what happened in France in the elections? They're talking about halal, to eat halal or not to eat halal. It became one of the themes of the campaign, and Sarkozy was amplifying this, Le Pen also, and this is the exaggeration of the identity. It comes with crisis times. And how to avoid these crisis times? It's culture. We need to have education. Education, the way our children are educated, and the education at home is not really very convenient. And there is some people are mixed up because these regimes, how they have continued maintaining power was not the right thing. They were always trying to make us afraid of somebody who come and replace them. And this political Islam also, it's because of the people that are analphabet. They have no reference. Their reference is only Islam or religion or something like this. So also this, when they had this referendum in Egypt for the constitution, that there is an article stating that the religion of a state is Islam. I think the Muslim Brotherhood and those were telling them, if you do vote against, you will go to hell. So this is really very important, because if you talk of a country, you have to scrutinize the demographic and the education, analphabetism. All this plays in, and it's not. It will take some time. If really this transitional period will take some time, we don't have to lie to ourselves, because it's culture. And culture, you know, takes some time.
Thank you very much. In response to that, at the Institute for Cultural Diplomacy, the way we always try to deal with identity is by using the onion analogy. As we look across this room, we could say we're all onions. We all look more or less the same. However, really to get to know each of our individuals, we have to cut that onion in half, and we see that very complex layering. And we really have to understand, whether it's Lebanon, whether it's Arab identity, whether it's global identity, we're never going to fully understand our personal identities unless we understand the complexity of those onions. And it's up to us, you know, which layer is the most important. Maybe our religion means a lot to us, maybe it doesn't. Maybe our nationality means a lot to us, maybe it doesn't. And I think that's the complexity that we need to have when we try in a very humble way to make sense of different identities, whether they're national, regional, or local. So just a food for thought, the onion analogy. We're running a little bit short on time. I don't want to keep the South African ambassador or the Mexican ambassador waiting too long, but there was a question in the back. Miriam, you haven't had a chance yet in the conference, so I want to, since you're with one of the main conference organizers, give you a chance also to pose a question.
Thanks, that's really nice. I'm sure you will have some time to ask some more questions a little bit later.
Would you raise your voice, please?
Yes, I can actually. I can even raise the mic. So, quick question actually. My name is Miriam Zekag. I'm coming from France. My parents come from Algeria. So, hence my question. I'm really interested in this country, and in the fact that the Arab Spring hasn't taken at all over there. There were some demonstrations, but they were blocked by the police. So it didn't take. And I was wondering, because you mentioned that the police state was a failure while answering Michel's question regarding the Arab identity. So I was wondering what the Arab League was doing in human rights, in trying to increase the role of citizenship, of, I don't know, trying to fight the police state in countries such as Algeria. Thank you.
Okay. You know, when Gaddafi threatened that he is going to kill the people in Benghazi, I think this was a turning point in the history of the Arab League. For the first time, the Arab League took a decision to suspend Libya from the Arab League and to impose a new fly zone. And we were accused that we are just implementing the agenda of the West. But this was not true. He was going to kill his people in Benghazi, and this had to stop. So the Security Council resolution was based on the legacy of the Arab League. But in this decision that we have said that no regime should respond to the demands of the peaceful demands of the people with brutal security measures. And from there, the language used by the Arab League, because the Arab League, the League of Arab States. So the sovereignty of states is very pronounced there. And I remind you, the Arab League was before the United Nations. It was 22nd of March, 1945. And the name League comes from the League of Nations. So this mentality is, and this vision is very pronounced in the charter even of the Arab League. But this change came after this with the Libyan issue, and then with the Syrian issue. So now the Arab League is looking into its system, into its charter. A lot of amendments have to be implemented, and the way, because sovereignty goes by hand by hand with the responsibility to protect. No regime has the right to kill its people. The regime and the government should respect and protect its people. If they are unable to do this, the international community has to intervene. I think this is taking place. Give us some time and we'll do it.
Your Excellency, the topic that you proposed is one that we really can't do justice to in such a short period of time, but unfortunately we do need to bring this to conclusion out of respect for the other speakers, but we really very, very much appreciated you taking the time to come. I think we've benefited in many ways from your lecture, as well as the discussion that followed. So if you could please join me in a very, very sincere expression of our gratitude to His Excellency, Mr. Mohamed El Fatah Naciri. Thank you.
Thank you.